Top of the morning, top of the evening, top of the night, whatever time zone you are on. We are live. I am pacing myself. Hello, everybody. Let's remember this. If we can look up, we can get up. We can get up, we can go up. Now, let me get into the moment of silence for all those who have lost their lives. All right, you see the title. I'm going to pace myself and check the audio in the background really quick. As well as this live feed. Okay. I don't like the glariness. As well as this live feed. Let me move my little self up. I don't have my other. I don't like the glariness. As well as this live feed. Move my little self up. Lights plugged in. Okay. So you see the title. Clear money grabs, racism, not justice seekers. What movement? We're going to get to it. But let me get to this music. Disclaimer, in accordance to the Copyright Act. Fair use. Other disclaimers. This is not for minors. This channel is not for minors. And we all know I do not own the copyrights to this song because it is not my song. I did not produce, create, or compose any parts of it. Let's get started. Just right there. Okay.
Snap, child, and don't cry. Your folks might understand you by and by. Just move on up toward your destination.
Skipping a little.
Though you may find from time to time complications. Take nothing less than the supreme best. Do not obey, you must be safe, but you can pass the test.
Hello.
Just move
yeah, I'm in my live stream. You want to help me
to a great aim. With just a little hate, if you put your mind to it, you can surely do it. Just move on up. Move on
So I'm going to stop that right there. Fix my head again. Okay. All right. Okay, the audio is still in. Let me turn this up. Okay, again, the music plays fine through the headphones. I do understand the lag time and the delay coming through another device, so I am aware of that. And at this point, I think it's just restream the way that they play their audio. And apologies for phone ringing in the background. As a matter of fact, if it rings again, it's going to be too bad. Okay. Again, hello, bushes. You see the title. Let's get to these clear money grabs. It's a host of updates we have to get to. Don't ever think I forget about the police and injustice that takes place over here in America as it relates to the police. No. We got some police to get to, and a lot of it just won't be today. Who polices the police? Always. We always on that. All right. Now let's get to people want to pontificate about racism, but it is what it is. People want to pontificate about clear money grabs, but it is what it is. And we're gonna walk through this real quick. Sha'Carri Richardson is back because, as many of you know, I stood in complete solidarity with her in her stance and her not being kicked out of the Olympics. Well, we're going to circle back around to that. But before we circle back around to that, I got something to say. So this is my I Have Something to Say segment. And I'm going to talk. At first, in my title, I had implicit bias. And I stopped and said, let me and put bias. Implicit bias is when, let me read the disclaimer again. Graphic content viewers' discretion is advised. Okay. And Copyright Act, United States 106, 108, and the others, fair use. Right now, I have a right to use video, images, pictures, so forth, so on, and the like, as it is a matter of public record of the United States of America. All right. Now, before I said I had implicit bias in my title, I took them out. Make sure my sound is here. Okay, so let me get up a little bit more. And I have straight bias in the let's get to these money grabs. Not justice seekers, just money grabbing clout movements. Now, what I have to say is what they have to say. What have they said? About Matt Rico. Where's Gloria Allridge? Where's Gloria Allridge? Everybody's know where I'm getting ready to go. See, some people come out under the pretenses of being justice seekers, but it's just a money grab and it's a bunch of clout chasing. And it's a bunch of the term that they coined clout chasing. It's just a money grab. It's just a bunch of pretentiousness. They're not out there about justice. They're out there to fill their pockets. Where's the outcry and the vitriol that they went at the Robert Sylvester Kelly with for Matthew Gates and elected officials who getting paid off the taxpayers' dime? I just want to know.
A Florida radio host has met with federal investigators to share what he knows about allegations of sex trafficking and sex with minor against Republican Congressman Matt Gaetz.
The attorney for Joseph Big Joe Ellicott says his client was able to shed light on some issues. Ellicott's cooperation.
Did they really just cut out like that?
Cooperations comes after he pleaded guilty to a bribery case. Whitney Wild's been following this. Whitney, tell us how this witness fits into the overall case here. And I'm also curious about timeline, Frank, because this has been going on for months.
Absolutely. I mean, it's been going on for more than a year. I mean, so we had this timeline up to bring everybody up to speed. This has been a really slow drip of information, and both that's being released publicly as well as information that Justice has been able to collect against Republican Congressman Matt Gaetz. The reality here is that this testimony, the form it takes, could be very significant. Then his client has met with federal lawyers to share what he knows about allegations against Gaetz, including sexual contact with a minor, sex trafficking, and obstruction of justice. Ellicott is cooperating with investigators again after he pleaded guilty in a separate bribery scheme. He's also pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit wire fraud and
so you saw that in
distribution of a controlled
2017
substance.
Matthew Gaetz allegations came about, and remember, he represents a portion of Florida. This is an elected official who's getting paid off the taxpayers' dime. Where are all these movements, Me Too movements, Time Up movement? Where was the outcry for these specific allegations? And hear me good, because it's known that allegations, speculations, and conspiracies are not facts. However, his friends came forward with some evidence to substantiate some facts as well as their claims. Some have already taken pleas. So let's be clear about that.
Has not been called to testify. This information could serve to corroborate some of the testimony of a man named Joel Greenberg. He's a close friend of Gaetz's. He's a former Florida tax official who has also been cooperating with authorities after pleading guilty to several charges last year. Some of those charges include that he knowingly solicited and paid a minor for sex. An ex-girlfriend, the congressman, also testified earlier this month before a grand jury. Gaetz, for his part, has denied any wrongdoing. He has not been charged with a crime. His office sent us this statement, and it after nearly a year of false rumors, not a shred of evidence has implicated Congressman Gaetz in wrongdoing. We remain on our work representing Floridians. Back to you.
Whitney Wild, staying on top of it. Thanks so much.
Again, where's Gloria Allridge in this right here? Where is she? Not a shred of evidence, excuse me. We have yet to see the evidence. No charges filed, but you have testimony, firsthand testimony, as well as who said they've submitted their electronic evidence. They turned over their text messages. They turned over images and things like that. Now, keep in mind, authentication is key. Data integrity is key when you're dealing with electronically stored information and digital evidence. We're fully aware of that. And should anybody attempt to alter, modify, delete, or tamper with evidence electronically, it's going to leave a digital fingerprint. Period. Now, on my little side note, again, many are aware, that's what I attended universities for: computer forensics, digital forensics, network forensics, cell phone forensics, electronically stored information, discovering ESI, electronically stored information, collecting, retrieving, maintaining, handling ESI. Okay, so where's the outcry? Again, many of these I got clout chasing movements are not for justice. It's just a money grab from my perspective, and an attention grab out there, self-serving, self-seeking attention. Now, the con with that is, the negative side with that is, there's some people who really were abused and need justice, but a lot of these people were not. So where's the outcry? Where's the outcry? This is an elected official. Where are the news articles and the newspaper articles about this? Day in and day out, like it was for Robert Kelly, Michael Jackson, Bill Cosby. Michael Jackson, excuse me, when he was alive. Bill Cosby, who's still alive. Robert Kelly, who's still alive. You know, now it's one against Snoop Dogg, Trey Songz, Chris Brown, Cuba Gooding Jr. You get these stories out here, and let's not forget Mystical. Yeah, it's a reason I have what I have in the title. Okay. Now, let me get back in real time on my device. Okay. For the lying females, and let me be clear about this. You destroy lives and accountability. Why? My Y got cut off. Booted over to the other line. And prison time is what you need. You do. Remember, Mystical was in prison for false allegation of rape. He never raped that female. And he served some time for some false allegations. Okay, this morning, Jennifer Bonjean is now representing Robert Sylvester Kelly in the Illinois case, as well as doing his appeals for the New York case. So, my perspective of Greenberg, I alluded to him being a deadbeat attorney, and it's a reason why. We've said it often over here. Attorneys will work against clients at times. Some attorneys just aren't worth the salt that they savor. We all know the game, that judges will sit on cases and run down the statutes of limitations. So, number one, we know statutes of limitations to any case, any trial is vital. It's important. You need to know what it is. Number two, you need to make sure you have a good attorney representing you who's going to work for you. Okay, that's number two. Number three, you need to know something about the judge. Okay, and you need to know about the opposing attorneys, because judges will sit on cases until the statutes of limitation expire. So defendants can lose. That happens in real life. Attorneys will work with judges. Your attorney could be working with a judge against you and you not be aware of it. Not okay. We've had discussions like that before. So Jennifer Bonjean, I call her the cleanup woman. She just filed an appearance in Robert Sylvester Kelly case. So this morning, I was on a call again, like I was on the other one when Greenberg and Leonard was representing Robert Sylvester Kelly. Well, they're no longer representing him in the Illinois case, and I am glad, because Greenberg was not worth the salt. He was not worth any salt to flavor up any food, from my perspective, because there is no possible way his client should have ever been sitting in prison before a trial. There's no possible way his client should not have been able to work based off some bogus allegations. And I have yet to see any concrete evidence. Excuse me, newsflash. Let me pause for a minute, and then we're going to move on. You cannot tell me, but that's why I said media, America's bias towards Black men. You see the head title and you see the subtitle with list of names and etc. You will not tell me that Matthew Gates gets to roam around free, because they said no charges are being brought. All of this is just, what is it? Allegations, right? And what did Robert Sylvester Kelly have against him? Allegations from what? From people or from persons, all right? No concrete evidence. I have yet to see, and I said it then, and I will say it now. Where were the medical reports? I didn't see any. Where were the police reports from his accusers? There was none. Where was anything that should have substantiated their claim? Nothing. But what did I see? A bunch of people coming up there with what? With records. They already had criminal records and history. Criminal records or some type of record. Not all criminal. Some type of records. Some type of records. Okay? That's what I saw during the trial. So you get a group of alleged witnesses, and from my perspective, who should have been done away with because of their credibility. You're not going to bring witnesses up here with records and tell me they're going to be credible at this moment and at this time, and they've already had a history of fraud. So to be fraudulent, you're going to be telling some lies. It's some illegal okie doke going on. See, and furthermore, it's the fact that Robert Sylvester Kelly's name is branded. So his attorney didn't do enough for me. Your client was a brand. His name was branded. And that docuseries never should have been allowed. He should have shut that down. Cease and desist letters, not just cease and desist letters, orders from the judges. Excuse me. When you are an attorney, it is your job to go in there and be persuasive with your words. That's your job, and defend your client. He's off the case. Jennifer Bonjean is on the case. Hey, got it all day. How you doing? $313. What are we ripping to? Hey, got it all day. Yeah. Oh, you say rip the whale? Yeah. It's definitely a game that certain women have come out and play, and these movements have came out and play, and these attorneys need to do their job. Nobody has time for foolishness. But you're not going to tell me this is not a prosecutorial hit list. You're going after people who have created hits. R. Kelly, Chris Brown, Trey Songz, Snoop Dogg. Cuba Gooding is not a musical artist, but he's an actor. Won awards. Bill Cosby, actor of all actors, producer of movies and shows. Don Cornelius, who's dead. They've even tried to come back after him now. Michael Jackson, we've seen the way that they did that, and it's only one documentary that I've seen pertaining to media slandering, defaming, and tearing his character and assassinating his character that was done years ago. A good timeline. It is the best timeline dating the slander of a musical artist that I have seen to date. And that one was done years ago. And it walks you through how the media comes after Michael Jackson, who at that time was known as the largest artist globally, and how American media came after him, slandered his name, assassinated his characters based off allegations that were bogus, untrue, and never founded. And those members got payouts, and his attorneys explained. In those liability forms, Michael Jackson took no accountability to doing anything to any children at any time for any reason. It was just some grimy parents wanting some money. And he said, listen, let's just pay them out because this is bringing too much attention to your family and it's detrimental to them. And so that was the attorney's advice. But I already said my perspective on that. I don't always agree with attorneys when they say that. I think sometimes you need to stand up for what's right and fight and push back against the money grab, like Trey Songz is doing. Okay. What's this complete here? All right. Now let's get to Sha'Carri Richardson. Okay. Media and the Olympics bias. Let's get here because we know the way I feel about Sha'Carri. Come on. There was no sensitivity really displayed towards her in American media overall. It was not. It was not there. It was not there. Her mom had passed. Her family didn't get to tell her her mother transitioned off the earth. You had an insensitive news anchor tell her that her mother was dead. Very insensitive. Her family wasn't trying to tell her that because she was out there at all those trainings. They wanted to wait. They didn't want to do anything to psychologically decrease her momentum or cause a distraction for her in that moment. But you had some insensitive news media. Okay, and so she smoked weed. And we know weed has been prescribed by doctors for years as antidepressant, for glaucoma, as well as for medical uses. We understand that, okay? And the state that she was smoking weed in was legal, all right? And so they say, well, no, it's about the timeline, this and that, this and that. But then you turn right back around, and here go the Olympics. They're going to let this Russian, and Russia is notorious for doing that. So for all the African-American men, for all the men, for all the news media, for the females too, who were anti-Sha'Carri and that had their mouths running saying rules are just rules, excuse me, I was substantiating my claim on every wind and wave when I was pushing back on that foolishness because I said, no. It don't always apply. Okay. Because the Russians have been known for doping for years. That's number one. Number two, when the Canadian won, that's when the Olympics came up with that rule about weed, the H being this one system. It was when they lost. The Canadian was winning in that snowboarding competition. Everybody else lost. He had weed in the system. But they didn't have the rule set then. They took the medal but had to give it back to him because the rule wasn't set then. It was not until after then that they came up with this rule about weed. And that was my pushback against that. Who is this? So Again, I had to take implicit bias out of the title and put bias, because implicit bias is when you're unconsciously doing things and you're not aware. You're not conscious, you're biased towards a person or a thing. But bias is when you are aware. You're very much aware of what you're doing and how you're doing what you're doing. And I also have racism in the title because, excuse me, if you're continuously suppressing a group of people, creating laws to suppress, oppress, and making up rules to specifically target a group of people, then you're a racist. Period. Point blank, simple. I don't care if you're a man. I don't care if you're a woman. I don't care if you're a fly roaming around in the atmosphere. I don't care if you're an ant crawling across concrete. If that's where you're staying, you're racist. And it's racism. Now, let's get back to Sha'Carri Richards. Let's get back to the media and Olympics bias against Sha'Carri Richards and others. But we are going to let the record show. And I'm also talking about these wannabe movements that are just fads, because they won't be around 20 years from now. Period. It's not like it was a civil rights movement. I'm talking about these Me Too times up type of movements. You're not going to be around 20 years from now. Your movement is not even working for everybody. It's not a movement. It's a money grab. To a certain extent and degree, you got people in there who are money hungry and clout chasing, who are not real justice seekers or advocates. Some may be, but all are not. Let the record show.
So let's bring in ABC News contributor LZ Granderson for more. And LZ, you heard Maggie bring it up right there. You know, Sha'Carri Richardson, the U.S. sprinter and gold medal favorite, who tested positive for marijuana and was suspended ahead of last year's Summer Games, is calling this out as a double standard. Richardson now asking for answers as to why she was banned immediately. But there is a difference here, as Maggie just laid out, LZ, right? That the rules, when it comes to minors, it's different from the adult athletes.
I guess we could say reasons.
Pause. Excuse. Why do you have different rules for minors competing in the Olympics versus adults? Excuse me, whether you're an adult or a minor. If you're competing in the Olympics, the rules should be even kilters across the board. Period. That's a problem right there. Now, if you want to divide the Olympics up and just have Olympics for minors, then do it that way. And Olympics that are only for adults, well, then do so.
Why? I guess we can point to those particular rules.
That's what they're saying, right? That's what they're saying. You have a different opinion, I know.
Well, I have several things about this. First and foremost will be, this is the Russians. This is a country that had a doping scandal go all the way up to the Kremlin in 2014. This is the Russians. They have bullied the international community, particularly the community when it comes to doping, for years. This is a country that had athletes test positive for performance-enhancing drugs, and for some reason, the Olympic Committee said, well, they can still compete, we just won't play your song. I mean, what? So this is just for me, more power for the core. A skater here at 15 years old who has already put on historic performances and is doing the same skater has now been found to be taking performance-enhancing drugs, and we need an investigation to figure out what's going on. What's happening here?
No, you're right. And you know, let's talk more about that, okay? Action to the news, Valieva compete. Here's what actually tweeted out. Can we get a solid answer on the difference of her situation and mine? My mother died, and I can't run, and was also favored to place top 3. The only difference I see is I'm a black young lady. You know, Sha'Carri says that THC is not a performance-enhancing drug. So let's talk about that. I mean, THC, right, versus steroids, 2 banned substances, 2 different consequences here. I mean, it just adds to the confusion. I mean, LZ, what do you think is the deal?
Well, I'm not confused. There is a double standard here. And I would argue that, you know, while I am frustrated that the Russians seems to be bullying the Olympic Committee, bullying the sporting community globally, I'm more frustrated about how we have been handling this conversation domestically. And here's why. I wrote for the Los Angeles Times, where I'm an op-ed columnist, that the silence USOC when it came to Sha'Carri's case to begin with was really disappointing. Because as we just witnessed in Serbia with Novak Djokovic, everyone knew that Novak Djokovic was flaunting the rules. He eventually wasn't allowed to compete in Australia because he wasn't vaccinated. And you know what happened when he went back home? He was treated like a hero. He met with the Serbian president. His country rallied around him and protected him. That did not happen for Sha'Carri. She was left out there to dry when the marijuana case came out. Our president said the rules are the rules, even though he was well aware of how Russia has always flaunted the rules when it comes to performing enhancing drugs in its athletes. Still, President Biden said with Sha'Carri, the rules are the rules. And now here we are again, where this athlete is allowed to compete despite testing positive for performance enhancing drug in December. And again, is Sha'Carri on her own? Where's the domestics? Where's the State Department statement? Where is the USOC statement? Where is her support here in America from the very institutions that's supposed to be protecting these athletes? So my frustrations with Russia are very real, but so are my frustrations here stateside.
So what response, then, would you like to see the Olympic Committee make on this? Do you think there will be a response?
Yes, there will be a response. I mean, in their defense, they have at least said that there won't be any medal ceremonies, and if they do a thorough investigation and found that, you know, she had purposely taken this performance-enhancing drugs, if she were to get a medal, it would be stripped. Understanding all of that. But I go back to Sha'Carri. And the reason why is because there was an opportunity there for her still to be part of the Olympic team. There was an opportunity there for her to still be able to compete as a member of the 4x4 relay. Mm-hmm. But they opted to leave her off that final team as well. When you compete in the Olympics, you are able to do across many different events. And she would have been eligible for the last event. And we decided to keep her off the list for the last event as well, even though she would have served her suspension. So I'm sitting here and I'm trying to figure out, just like she is, what are the differences? And while I don't want to automatically just turn to race, you can see how race is certainly first and foremost when you look at the way that black women in particular have been treated internationally, whether you're talking about the French Open with Serena Williams and Naomi Osaka, where you're talking about the way that they handle Simone Biles and the conversation surrounding her. So I can't help but notice that there seems to be compassion for this 15-year-old white Russian and thinking maybe she was victimized, and no compassion at all for this black woman who had just lost her mother and is trying to find comfort.
L.C. Granderson, always great to have the conversation with you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC.
Stephanopoulos, we don't care. All right. Now, so again, we see straight out biases being displayed. And we have to call them what they are. We have to call racism what it is. We cannot sit up and say racism in America does not exist. That's a lie. We cannot continuously keep our head in the sand because you're not standing for anything. Okay? And if you don't stand up for right when it's time to stand up for right, when your day of reckoning comes, you won't have people standing for you either. Now, if we're going to be right, let's be right all the way around. Also, let me flash back because this was a quick live for me. And other people can watch it when they get here. Walking through real quickly. Jennifer Bongine is now representing R. Kelly in New York and in Illinois. Okay. However, this hit list, and I want to call it a hit list, coming at the artists who are wealthy, coming at the artists who have made hits, coming at the artists who are specifically Black, needs to stop. Allegations. All it was Robert Sylvester Kelly was an allegation, and he ended up in prison. Where in the world do people end up in prison for allegations only other than America? It's supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. And I'll say it again. They have yet to substantiate their claims. I don't care how the jurors went in there and looked at it. Excuse me. No due deference was given to the evidence or the lack thereof. And they cannot tell me that it was. For the amount of time, if we want to compare the time it took for the jurors to come back with a verdict versus all the thousands of pages or hundreds of documents of alleged evidence that they were supposed to go through. Come on, it does not compute. It does not compute. And by the way, where I'm right here, because my field, multifaceted, I can do more than one thing. Multiple gifts and talents. Most people are. Where's the video that was supposed to come from Michael Avenatti that wasn't authenticated? No data integrity. Where's that at? The one that he took to CNN that allegedly had underage porn. That's illegal for you to distribute. Federally, that's a Fed law. It's illegal to distribute underage pornography. Yeah. And he took it to CNN. He got it from somebody. So here we have an issue with chain of custodies. Not only chain of custody, we have an issue with the validity of the ESI, electronically stored information, of the digital evidence. See, I was sitting back saying, okay, while people were saying, I watched it and I did this and I did that, I was saying, no. First of all, you shouldn't be watching it. Number two, you should not be on social media talking about you distributed. Because the feds don't have to get you today. They'll wait years from now and get you on another day. Okay? While you up here self-incriminating on social media platforms. So I done mixed 1 and 2 all in together and threw in some 3s too. Number 4, the bias against African-American men have got to stop. This hit list, this clout chasing with these lying women who need to be held accountable. I have Mystical in that title for a reason. Remember, Mystical went to prison for a female who lied on him and said he raped her, and he did not. So he had to sit in prison until he was clear. But by then, the damage to his reputation in his career had already took root. Now, I'm going to say it again. If you are saying someone is guilty before you've looked at all the evidence, and I'm talking about concrete evidence that has not been tampered with, or before you've looked at evidence, period. And if you're just saying, oh, their name is out there, they automatically did it, but you weren't there for any other things that have been alleged against them. You have no firsthand knowledge. You were not there. See, this is what I'm saying. Snoop Dogg already said what he said years ago. When no HOEs, and this was his words years ago, he was not going to let any hoes take his money. He said that a long time ago when they tried to come with some allegations years back. He said, no hoes are going to take my money. Let's be clear about that. He said, I got plenty of money, but them hoes ain't going to get it. He said that a long time ago. Let's be clear about that. Trey Songz. Now, I've seen video footage where Trey Songz pushed a fan off him. Female fan got him up off of him. Why? Because of allegations like this. Women want to run around. Lying females want to run around with these bogus allegations, and they need to be held accountable, and they need to face prison time. This is dumb. This is foolishness. And you get these movements. These women, some women, not all, want to say they're in a movement, which is not going to last. I'm going to tell you that right now. Historically, your Time's Up movement is not going to last. Your Me Too movement is not going to last. The next 20 years, it will not be around. It's a fad. Let's be clear about that. It's a fad and it's a trend. Okay? Based off social media. Oh, I said that right there. Yeah. I guess some people should have done some research as it pertains to fads and trends and movements. Okay, let's be clear about that. If they were serious, Matthew Gaetz, the same effort and energy that was given to Robert Sylvester Kelly would have been given to Matt Gaetz, the elected official. Okay, remember, but you're saying, oh, this is just off allegations. Allegations. That's all he had was allegations, speculations, conspiracies, and theories. You can't run video footage by me without me authenticating it. Yeah, I do have the credentials to do such when it comes to electronically stored information. You can't run that mess on me. Everything leaves a digital fingerprint. That's how Robert Sylvester Kelly ran the first trial in 2008. The tampering with the videos, a digital fingerprint showed up. Let's be clear about that. Now, again, if you're going to directly, based off names, say they automatically did it, then you have a bias. You have a bias. Some people are just downright biased because of race, because of color of people's skin. Some people do have implicit biases. They're unaware that they're being biased, but they are. And then you just have flat out racist. If it's a black person, they automatically think they did it. Dang the evidence. This foolishness has got to stop. And they don't care if it's black male against black female. They really don't care. They just want to see a brother locked up. Okay? And understand this. If you are doing anything like raping women, beating women, and stuff like that, I don't support you. That's period. However, at the same time, and hear me good, I do understand that women will sit up and lie and set brothers up. I have watched firsthand. I see the way these females can operate firsthand. I'm on the live stream. Okay. Mystical. He was lied on. He did nothing. Served all that time in prison. And it's not just the prosecutor's hit list for artists. It's been happening to the everyday unknown black male for years. This is not new. But what you don't see is a balance, because you don't see the accountability for the lying, trifling, tack-headed females who set the men up and lied on them like that and destroyed their lives. That's what you don't see. And I'll say it again. If you are doing this and you are a woman, you ain't worth the salt you savor, and your behind need to be in prison. Period. End of story. If we're going to be for justice and what's right and what's true and what's pure, let's be that. But these movements who just only want to target certain artists based off some conspiracies, some allegations, and some speculations, and you were not there, stop the dumb stuff until you young female, young, dumb, still chewing on bubble gum, who willingly took your trifling selves there to allow your body to be exploited and used with your overaged self who were not underage, you need to stop that dumb stuff too. Because this is the thing. It's Black History Month, and you know I'm always going to play Martin Luther King, who said it will. You will reap what you sowed. He wasn't just talking about America. That applies to people too. It's a universal law and principle. You will reap what you sowed. It may not happen right away. It may not happen today. But if you sowed the wind, you don't get to reap the wind back. You get to reap the roar wind back. So for you females who've been out there lying, you got all this money, you coming off of somebody else's name, you don't want to go to work, you coming up off someone else's name, you don't want to go to work. You're coming up off someone else's name, using their name, using their time, using their talent, using their treasure. You will reap what you sowed. And for the rest of the people who are supposed to be reporting the news, you're going to reap what you sowed too. You either are going to do journalistic, you're either going to have some journalistic integrity and research it completely out, or the same stories you told and traps that you set intentionally for others will come back for you like a whirlwind. And that's the reality of the situation. Period. Like my grandmother used to say, just keep on living. Just keep on living. Now, that's what I have to say about that. All of these men have not been out here doing these things to these women. Miss me with that dumb stuff. Stop it. And if you took your trifling tail there willingly with your overage selves, that's on you. Don't come screaming after the fact. When you was hot and heated in between the legs, thought you was gonna get something that you didn't work for. Don't come screaming after the fact. And as I get ready to conclude, going back to Sha'Carri Richardson. Yeah. Call it like it is. Call it for what it is. Straight out, flat out bias and racism. People screaming rules are the rules, but you didn't let Russia do whatever they've been wanting to do for the last upteen number of years. Rules are the rules, but you see this one over here getting a slide, skate, and slither through. If we're going to be right, let's be all the way right. If you're going to call yourself a movement, be a real movement for justice. Be about justice for real in every situation, for everybody. Because I'm still waiting for Glory Allridge to run up on Matt Gaetz, the elected official, with all that mouth that she has for artists, that she has for Bill Cosby, that she had for R. Kelly, that she has for everybody who has been Black male specific. That's her target market. Black male money. Where's that mouth for him? Okay. Now, having said that, okay, there's other person writing in the chat about European basketball fans being crazy. Okay. Well, here in America, because what is this, Chinese or Japanese? It's a foreign language. Well, your name is foreign. Anyway, over here, we have some Americans who need mental health services and could be deemed crazy, who like to lie on professional actors, artists, and the like. And we also have people over here in America who are slowful and they don't want to work with their own hands. They want to come up off somebody else's name. and always tag people and associate themselves with people and label themselves amongst people that, and they've done no work. They just want to ride somebody else's coattail to get money and to get their names out there, and they've done no work. But however, again, sowing and reaping is a universal law. They will reap what they sowed. We have people over here in America who are flat out straight up racism. Let's call it what it is. You're racist and you know you're racist, call it what it is. Go ahead and face the reality of the situation that you are a racist and deal accordingly. To all these women over here, excuse me again. Let's be clear about this. I am not for women being abused by men, or in terms of rape, in terms of physical violence, none of that. And at the same time, women do the same thing too. I'm not deflecting. That street goes both ways, because I didn't know some women who didn't kill some men. I've seen some women straight box some dudes down to the ground like they were men. Period. Straight up square up with them, and the man got whooped. Period. So the street can go both ways. If we're going to be for justice, again, let's be for justice. If you're going to be a movement, then be a real movement. Don't be a cloud chasing one. Don't just ride the waves of a fad and a trend, because all that money and attention you got will be bitter as a woodworm. Let me say the right term. Will be bitter. Your end will be bitter as a woodworm years down the line. It is better to walk in your integrity than to have none. And integrity is what you do when ain't nobody else around and nobody else is watching. Again, racism need to be dealt with. Bias need to be dealt with. Racist news media need to be dealt with. Implicit bias need to be dealt with. Intentional bias need to be dealt with. Justice movements or people who are claiming to be justice seekers and are not need to be dealt with. Now, having said that, I'm done. When you get here and you get towards the end, you go back to the beginning and watch it. I'm just going to let the record show. Compare and contrast. Right is right and wrong is wrong. Truth is truth and lies are lies. You either stand for what's right, or you're going to sit back and do nothing. Now, having said that, you all have a pleasant evening and a pleasant night. And again, happy Black History Month, everybody. Bye-bye.